Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Daniel Pizarski with Dr. Dan's Health and Business Power Hour. I'm here today with episode 2 of the Skolnikoff method with Dr. Ilya Skolnikoff, all the way from Northern California. How are you doing today, Ilya?
Good to see you. Good to see you. Doing great. Doing great. There's the Golden Gate Bridge, as you can see, right behind my right shoulder there. Hope you like that. Northern California. Not easy to have that whole bridge on my shoulder, but so we're supposed to talk about protein today, right?
Well, last time we talked about water. That's the first building block of the Skolnikoff method, correct?
Yeah, they're not really building blocks, actually. They're the lifestyle changes needed to, you could call them building blocks, but they're the lifestyle changes needed to succeed with the Skolnikoff method. Skolnikoff method is a very successful method that people don't fail at unless they give up, quit, or never try. So we just have the successful people who continue with the program. So when people are eating the wrong kind of protein, or they're not drinking the right kind of water, or their blood sugar is really off, or they're taking the wrong kind of medication, or too many medications, or they're having terrible digestion that doesn't respond well to therapies, not our therapies, but someone else's therapies, then that means that they won't get better. So those are the 4 basic lifestyle changes. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you know do you have data on how many people that go through your program reach their goals, like 90% or?
I have data. Yeah.
You do have data?
Yeah, it's like about 98% of people do really well right away after their first 2 to 3 treatment visits. There's a few people who take more than 2 or 3 treatment visits, but I just went over it. It's 100% of people succeed when they continue with our therapies. Yeah, it doesn't mean everyone succeeds. Yeah. We have 100% of people, almost 100% of people fail when they only come in 1 or 2 times. So
they come in every week to your office then? Throughout the program?
Well, this podcast is reviewing the Skolnikoff method, telemedicine method, right? So they'll come in either not at all or once, and then we do everything over the phone. So you should, depending on what investment you made in your health and your life and your future, you might have either done one of 3 things. Choice 1 would have been an amazing choice. It would have been a little bit of a more sizey investment where you're coming in to see me directly face to face, and we're doing all the structural, chemical, emotional therapies in person. Not everybody can do that if they're not mobile. Some people are too dizzy to drive, or they have different health concerns. Obviously somebody who's in a coma is not going to go anywhere, right? So that's choice 1, is they come in to see me. Huh?
Do you treat people that are in comas?
Well, yeah, but those are not easy patients. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't do the manipulation under anesthesia. I'm not licensed to do manipulation under anesthesia, but we can just help them without doing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anesthesia. I don't really treat people who are under anesthesia anyway. So, people who are in
a coma who had a traumatic brain injury.
Say it again?
Like somebody who may have had a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah. So if we start working with them and helping them, it's their family that would have decided to have them get started with care. If it's post-injury, then that can be difficult depending upon the age. And if it's before the injury, it's not as difficult. But people. It's kind of getting off topic here, but yeah, I mean, I mainly deal with people who are ambulatory, people who are walking and whatnot, or they were walking when they came in. Maybe there's an injury where they have to be in a cast, or they have to have crutch or something like that temporarily while they heal from a fracture. But yeah, most people are walking around when they come in, and they walk out of the office also. But kind of got me distracted a little bit. So the point is that. Yeah, choice 1 would be you come into the office, it's a bigger investment. Choice two, we send you out some homeopathy that might cost about $500, and that would be 100 different homeopathic remedies. That would be either, it depends on what we find during the initial consultation, but they could be either 30C, 200C, 1M, or 10M. The best potency seems to be for my patient population. For newer patients, right around 1M. So there's 100.
What metric is that you're using? M and C, like millimeter, or what's M and C?
There are metrics for homeopathies, the centesimal scale.
Oh.
So homeopathy is different. We're not measuring. We're measuring thermodynamics. We're measuring. We're not measuring what you think we're measuring there. Okay. Homeopathy is just a type of energy medicine. So it's measuring kinetic energy, and it's not at measuring speed. So it's measuring the vibration of the potency. So again, this isn't really what we're talking about here, because it's way off topic. But the approved constitutional homeopathic remedies start at 30C or above, and then they go up to right around 1,000 M. Okay, so, but we do have an hour, so I mean, I don't know. I guess it's a good thing that you asked. If you hadn't asked, then we wouldn't. There's going to be a whole bunch of people wondering what the heck I'm talking about.
Exactly.
So thank you for doing that. Yeah.
Homeopathy is necessarily.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go over it. So, what is homeopathy? Okay. So if we take gasoline fumes and we start breathing them, if we do it for too long, we're going to die. So that's, poorly advised. And I wouldn't even do it at all. But let's just say a healthy person, huh?
Unless you want to die.
Well, we're talking about homeopathy, okay? So if somebody takes some gasoline fumes and they breathe them in a little bit, if it's a healthy person, they should feel really tired and kind of knocked out, something like they're about to pass out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can take the gasoline fumes and you can put them into water, and then you can shake that water 100. Well, you could shake it 1,000 times. Okay. Now, or actually, let's say you shook it 1,000,000 times. This is very unusual, but I use these potencies in my office all the time, even though they're really high potencies. So if you shake the water 1,000 or 1,000,000 times, which, that's not going to happen right away. But if you get started and you actually do accomplish the 1,000,000 shakes without breaking your arm or something, then you would take just about a few drops of that water that had the gasoline fumes in it, and you put it in about 5 ounces of distilled water. Then you could shake that 5 ounces of distilled water 1,000,000 times. Then you repeat the process 1,000,000 times, okay? After you've done that 1,000,000 times, you'd have a potency that's very similar to 1,000 M for ethereum or gasoline fumes. Ethereum is a little bit different than gasoline fumes. It's ether, but anyway, it's not completely different. It's quite similar. So now the point is that there's nothing in that final preparation. There's no active ingredients in there that can be found in a microscope. It does have use. It has a clinical benefit, and the clinical benefit is it makes you feel the same way you would as if you were given gasoline fumes, which are toxic for a healthy person, okay? But for a person who has panic attacks, or they have a rapidly beating heart, that can calm them down and make them more, easygoing, so that now they're functioning better. It has a huge health benefit. So that's just one particular homeopathic remedy called ethereum, or, it's like gasoline fumes. So there's well over 5,000 that have been proven. All homeopathic remedies that are approved, this sounds kind of hokey or kind of like weird language, but they've all been approved, and some of them are approved for some countries and not for other countries. So it kind of depends on the proving. But if they're part of the constitutional pharmacopoeia of homeopathy, which is comprised of about 5,000 different remedies. All 5,000 have been proven. People have actually experimented with taking in the toxic substance and taking notes on how they felt. And then they gave the same thing to a person who had those symptoms. And if it causes the symptoms, it should also relieve those symptoms in an unhealthy person. So, somebody who's exhausted all the time and can't sleep very well, you can give them coffee. Coffee is a really very commonly used homeopathic remedy for somebody who's always exhausted. And it also helps with sleep. But,
not the homeopathic remedy, correct? Just the
coffee is a homeopathic remedy called coffee accruta. Yeah.
Yes.
But if you actually drink coffee and you're healthy, you don't feel you feel a little overly energized if you don't regularly drink coffee. And then it doesn't necessarily help you to sleep if you're healthy, although it might, but it just depends on the person. So anyway, that's kind of a basic rundown of how homeopathy works. And there's different potencies. So instead of having shaken the container with the water in it, 1,000,000 times, you might have shaken it 1,000 times, or even only, maybe 300 times. So you can get different potencies according to how much you percuss it. It's called percussion. And then the higher the potency, the longer it takes to act, and the longer lasting the effect of the remedy. The lower the potency, the less time it takes to act, and the less long lasting the effect of the remedy. So what do you think? Did I answer the basic idea of it or not?
I haven't heard anybody explain homeopathy before, so it's quite interesting.
Okay.
Yes, correct. For the second, you had 3 steps.
Yeah, right. So the third option is that they skip the homeopathy. They're not coming into the office, but we can just do the consultation over the phone. And then when we do the consultation, I'm going to determine what therapies are needed, and we'll send out mainly just herbs and nutrients. And that's the least expensive. Nothing wrong with it. It just, when I say it's the least expensive, it may not be, because the homeopathy that is given to a person during a Skolnikoff method's new medicine consultation is so powerful that, it really does resolve a lot of the energetic imbalances that a person has. So they need far fewer herbs and nutrients. If we do not use the homeopathy, they need a lot more herbs and nutrients. If we do use the homeopathy, which is a sizable investment in oneself, and let's hope you'd want to invest as much in your health as possible, then you need fewer nutrients, and because you're healthier. You just not as much needs to be done. So that's not, one approach isn't like better or worse than another. It's just different approaches for different people. I always encourage a huge the highest investment in yourself possible. Come see me in person. You'll get better results. You'll feel better faster, and then we go down from there. Yeah, it's very straightforward, I think. But like silver, gold, and platinum. But anyway, silver is platinum is like you coming to see Big Daddy Dr. Ilya, and then gold is you get the homeopathic kit. It's like gold. Literally, it has the more value than gold does. It's it's valuable. And then the lower investment is we're going to do great. We're going to get you healthy. We're going to use herbs and nutrition and some other we're going to do some other things during the consultation. We'll figure out your exact health puzzle and what's your solution to your health puzzle. And it doesn't, you're not paying a whole lot as much. You don't have to invest as much right away, but you still get the result. You just may need a little bit more nutrition and some more herbs than if we started using homeopathy right away. Homeopathy is very powerful, extremely powerful. It's healed almost every disease known to man, except for genetic defects.
Really?
It was a lot more effective before World War II, when there were...
Why is that?
Well, there were a lot of chemicals put into the environment during World War II. So what happened was the military was given, their foods were preserved with all these preservatives and all these different chemicals that allowed them to go out into the battlefield and really, we won the war. Okay, so But the problem was they then took those chemical, laden preservatives, and then they brought it into the civilian sector. So they brought it from just military use into food production for everyone here, not only in the United States, but they introduced it to other parts of the world also, mainly here. So, most people, not everyone, but, somebody like myself and yourself, we know about Monsanto. We know about the dangers of genetically modified foods, and we know all about that, but, the average listener may not know about it. So I don't know how much we want to get into that. I think we should just get into it a tiny bit. Talk about
a mile from my house, one of the plants.
Monsanto?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Monsanto's sort of like Satan. There's just nothing so good about them. Okay, so you had mentioned something. We weren't. I was thinking, or you were thinking, we were going to talk about your health, but what we really need is the form that should be sent in regularly. Yeah, that's the form that we just do once. That's called the protein. You can put it in front of my face. They don't need to see my face or whatever. It's called the protein rating scale, and we're about to fill that out. So if you're watching this, and you really should have already. We should have already been talking about this, but if not, you'll have access to that form right now or before we started talking, and you can fill it out while we're talking to Dr. Daniel Pozarnsky. There's no reason not to fill it out, is my point. If you haven't already. So let's go over it. Okay. So it may seem like I'm just kind of like being a dictator here, but really, everybody is different. Okay, so it's not that we're going to just have everybody do the exact same thing, but Daniel here is dealing with a lot of emotional ups and downs, and some things with anxiety is almost the same thing as emotional ups and downs, and some similar kind of high levels of stress for a long period of time. And, the more I say, the more I feel silly just talking about your health. Any other big things you want to share that are like big, nasty, ugly things that you probably don't want to talk about, but just like words that have to do with your health, your medications that you're using, or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't feel that healthy. I tried to do a lot of the things that we're taught in chiropractic school and that I've read about, and I've just kind of gotten stuck. And especially this year has been really tough on me.
Okay.
Starting a new clinic and then having the coronavirus and some different like financial ups and downs due to that. And
the coronavirus affected everyone. Did you get the virus, or you're just hearing about it and freaking out about it?
I've never been tested positive for the coronavirus.
Oh, okay.
But just the financial economic has been definitely affecting me.
Okay, I'm just seeing if I can get all of our notes. So what about sleep? Can you say anything about sleep or mood that's slightly more specific, especially sleep, or not?
I'm tired all the time. I sleep, but I don't feel like I get like into like REM sleep, deep sleep, restorative sleep. So that's a huge thing, I think, or a huge piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. Okay, so while we're going through this, see the big key is if you're even slightly or remotely, like Daniel, if you have a little trouble with your sleep or a lot of trouble with your sleep, or your mood could be better, maybe your mood is good sometimes, but it goes up and down. Maybe your mood is fantastic, your sleep is terrible. Maybe your sleep is fantastic, but your mood is terrible. Any combination like that, we're going to look very carefully at digestion and diet. The two are different. Somebody could have a perfect diet and terrible digestion, or they could have, there's almost any combination is possible. But we're not just focused on Daniel, is my point. Even though it seems like this is all about Daniel, it's actually about you, the listener, who may not be Daniel, although Daniel's, the host. So we're going to mark this up, Daniel. We'll put Most of these proteins, my patients have done really well with, at least the top half of the sheet. So we're just going to start to mark it up. Okay, so with lamb.
Let's go back one step. Why is protein so important?
Okay, so protein is really important because, another great question. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do a minute of prayer. No, I'm just kidding. We can just do a second of prayer. Protein is really important because it comes from a Latin word which means proteus. That Latin word, proteus, means of utmost importance. So it's got to be important. Every cell in the body is made of protein. And it's true that there's a little bit of fat in each cell of the body, and it's very small, minute amounts of sugar, but not a whole lot. The membranes of all the cells are made of something called phospholipids, which are a protein and some sugary stuff, and then fat. So that's the cell membrane of every cell, including the hair, including the bone, including the skin and the nails. Some of these structures of the body have more or less protein, but anyway, it's still the same basic idea. And so the other thing is almost all the hormones in the body are made of protein or fat. Some of them are more like mostly fat, but the enzymes and the proteins are, the enzymes and the things that allow for the hormones to be made or evacuated from the body or metabolized properly, those are enzymes. Enzymes are made of protein. So this is like one of these things where for some reason it's become controversial, but it doesn't need to be, okay? So if you go through a really popular medical physiology textbook, I personally like Guyton and Hall's textbook of medical physiology. It's not the only textbook, but I like it, okay? And it goes in there the opposite of what most people are thinking. So most people are thinking that they're going to eat too much protein and stress their kidneys. But the most common kidney diseases are due to not enough protein intake or deficiencies of, vitamin B3 or vitamin B6 or vitamin B12, or one of the other similar B vitamins like folic acid or even inositol or even choline. More so B3, B6, those and B12. Folic acid is really important to metabolize B12, but neural tube defects in newborn children due to folic acid deficiency are almost for sure going to happen if the person, if the pregnant woman doesn't have enough folic acid. But anyway, get the point, right? These things also have protein-like chemicals in them. They're, that are needed just to have the vitamin itself. Vitamins are relatively important. They're not they're not number one, but they're pretty important. In other words, all these proteins that are the building blocks of cells that are broken down into amino acids that are then taken up into your body, and many of them are converted into neurotransmitters like tryptophan and tyrosine. They are, we're talking about proteins, and even though they're important, they do require the cofactors, the minerals and the vitamins, in order to complete the biochemical pathway to get to the end neurotransmitter like epinephrine, norepinephrine, the bradykinins, the endorphins, the dopamine, the serotonin, whatever. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, I think I'm covering it, not too poorly here. I mean, I don't know. Do you have more? Do you have questions based on what I just said?
I think you're correct. You covered a large amount of information in a short amount of time, which is in a good way, which was understandable to people. I think one question, and you hit on that proteins.
You can't get it from veggies. Yeah.
Are not bad for the kidneys, and you said that most of the time people are not getting enough protein. And I imagine you're talking about people usually are eating, the American diet is 70% carbohydrates, that's sugar. And
American diet is not a very good diet, and I'm mostly in agreement with you, like 99% agreeing with you, right? It's not a healthy diet. So, huh?
1%'s not agreeing.
Well, I mean, there's different Americans that are different in different parts of the country, and there's different things that are happening in different for different people and different families and different ethnic groups and things like that. But yeah, overall, of course, I agree with you. For some reason, oh yeah, right. So when I was talking about the kidney disease, that's the disease, right? End-stage renal failure is due mainly to protein deficiency. It's not due to protein excess. It's due to too much sugar. Too much sugar, not enough protein. Or the other thing that people will do is they do this tricky thing, which I'm not trying to offend anyone, but they're basically fooling themselves. They're saying, I eat protein every day. I eat as much or more than you. I have my hot dogs, my hamburgers, my pizza with the cheese. I have my beans and rice, or I have my tofu and my whatever they have, whatever that thing is that they have. They're McDonald's, whatever it is, right? And they're right. They're eating protein every day and they're eating plenty of it. But you know what? If you go through the Eads' book, Protein Power, it's too bad I don't have that. Maybe I'll, just talking to myself for a second. But if you go through that book, they document that if you mix carbs, complex carbs like bread, rice, pasta, potatoes with protein, now you're going to spike insulin levels and cause all kinds of problems for the body that lead to all the modern chronic diseases that we have, the diabetes, the rheumatoid arthritis, the Hashimoto's, the heart disease, etc. Okay, so it's not just, oh, I eat protein, I'm good. It's like, there's more to it than that, okay?
Right.
So there's protein combining. We don't want to mix proteins. We don't want to mix.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You don't want to mix them?
We don't want to mix proteins.
Really? I never heard
We don't want to mix steak and fish. We don't want to mix chicken and steak. We don't want to have, whatever, Kentucky Fried Chicken steak, whatever they're called. We don't want to do turf and surf. Yeah, because it's completely different enzymes needed to break down the different proteins. So we just want to focus on, one protein per meal and no complex carbs with that protein, unless it's the good complex carbs, which are the broccoli, the asparagus, the cucumber. Avocado is not a complex carb, really. It's a fatty thing, a fruit, but we're not talking about that. Avocado's healthy. So, but that kind of stuff is healthy. Lettuce, those are complex carbs. But when people say complex carbs, they got the old food pyramid confusing the heck out of them, and they're causing themselves to be sick. The old food pyramid is a scam. It's a scam, folks. If you're watching this and you look at the old food pyramid, you're scammed. Right on the bottom has the complex carbs. Complex carbs don't belong on the food pyramid at all. The complex carbs are what lead to our modern chronic diseases. The complex carbs I don't want to get too carried away. They do have a place in our human health, and we can have small amounts of them when we're healthy. But the unhealthy person who lives in a big city with lots of stress, somebody like, who's watching this, or Daniel or myself, somebody like us, we need to pretty much avoid them almost entirely. It's just the person who does lots of exercise, the unusual athlete, the farmer, the person who lives out in the woods somewhere. Those kind of people, they're getting so much. If they exercise that much, they're going to tolerate some complex carbs if they have a really high quality complex carb, which there's not many around. I mean, there's not a lot of good, there's a certain kind of wheat that's not even available anymore. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's like Ein Rhine or something. I can't remember what it's called. So yeah, the old wheats, the original wheat that they used to have, einkorn, it's called einkorn. So, if you can actually get your hands on a little bit of einkorn or some good buckwheat, I mean, it doesn't mean you should eat it. Okay? It just means I'm explaining it to you. Okay.
That's a good point. That is a great point. Shouldn't eat it.
People are going to get confused. Well, what about like this one patient I had a long time ago? I said, it's okay if you have mung bean, because I was just like wanted to give her something that she could eat that was a little different. And then she started having mung bean every meal. She got really sick. I'm like, no, lady, like if you have it like once a month, it's fine, no big deal. But this lady was going like mung bean crazy, And
yeah.
So
I can relate, because once you start eating just protein and basically greens. Like, we're so used to such variety that's really not good for us at all. So, like, I know better, but I'll find myself trying to find one thing or going down the list of the Candida diet list. Like, what's something different that I could try? You know? So I can understand why I would do that.
Huh?
I can understand why somebody would start eating mung beans for every left. You said it's okay to eat mung beans.
Yeah. So, I mean, each person's a little bit different, and we're dealing with your microbiome. I don't know if the science is going to help. I don't know if the science will help my listener, but just trying to watch the time a little bit while we're talking. Maybe we should go through this, and then we can continue we can talk about whatever I was just talking about. I guess we were talking about protein. We were talking about different forms of protein. We were talking about complex carbs and whether or not they're good or not good. And then we were talking about
well, we were just
the microbiome. Okay. Yeah. So let's just kind of put that aside for a minute.
Oh, we won't go there.
I mean, we can do it in a couple minutes, but I think we got work to do. So lamb, I would just put on your sheet 9 for lamb.
So now we're talking about different types of proteins that have what would you say, different energy values or different?
They're just different animals. They're dead animals, different kinds of animals.
Okay.
From different places.
What about vegans? What do they do on you if they come to you? I'm sure this probably happens a lot in California.
If they're not willing to eat a good quality protein, then I'm not going to accept them.
You're not going to accept them?
No, not unless they want to invest an extra $1,000 a month on taking supplements, minimum. And even then, why would they want to spend that much money? Just because, I mean, it doesn't. A person who's vegan won't succeed in the therapies we do. They're just not healthy people, and there's a reason that they might be coming to me, but I'm not going to waste my time. Yeah, it's a waste of time. Yeah, this is about getting results. The Skolnikoff method is about results. It's not about.
And that's what you want, results. You want to get healthy. I said you're a dictator of results.
Dictating results?
You're a dictator of results. You're going to hold us to the Skolnikoff method.
Right. There's no reason for me to work with somebody and ruin my reputation and waste their time and money if they're not going to get healthy and get results. You know, there's no point in doing that. So I don't have time for that. And if they do, then they can go to another healthcare provider. There's no reason to come to see me. Mm-hmm. So humans are not vegans. We eat meat. We have these big canine things here that kind of bite into the meat. We've been having meat for several, almost 1 million years, ever since we've been walking upright. And there's rare exceptions with a few people in India, and those people tend to be less healthy and have a shorter lifespan, even though they've been doing it for 1,000 years. That it doesn't seem to work that well for the people in India. So, that's kind of a clue. And so, I'm not trying to offend anyone. I just don't want to waste people's time and waste people's money and just cause problems. I'm here to help people, So, no, veganism doesn't work. You need the protein. Vegans don't have enough. They don't have a good source of protein. You can't get it from the vegetables. The vegetables have too many phytates. Phytates are a poison. They rob your body of the needed minerals that need to be bonded, have carbohydrate bonds to the proteins that are basically things that fly or swim or walk around on the ground. So no need to waste time.
Phytates.
Good question, though.
The phytates are what are in the vegetable that cause animals not to eat it. It's like a poison.
Phytates are in the nuts and the really fibrous things that are not never cooked or broken down in your mouth. Mm-hmm. So if you start juicing your food, you're getting a ton of phytates and a few other chemicals that aren't so good. We don't have an active appendix like a cow or another ruminant, so we can't. We don't make cellulase enzyme, so we can't break down huge amounts of fiber the way those other animals can. It's just not possible. So, we don't do well with that kind of food. Now, for people who have a little bit of nuts every now and then, that's no big deal. But if they keep going for it, they tend to have some health challenges that arise from that. I mean, that's what all my videos about the ileocecal valve are all about, trying to educate people about that.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, so for lamb, the higher the number, the more valuable it is. For lamb, we should put a 9. So let's put 9 for lamb. For turkey, we should put a 9. So turkey is important, or good, or helpful, or all right. For poultry, we should put an 8. Poultry's great, a little bit less methionine than some of these other ones. Beef, we should put a 9. And then Atlantic fish, we should put a 10. Pacific fish, we should put a 5. Okay, the Atlantic fish is getting people confused because we have the farmed and then the wild Atlantic fish. It's always better to have the wild Atlantic fish, but we're running out of...
Why?
Huh?
Why?
Well, farmed fish is not a happy animal. They're stuck there in like the cage may be very large. So if the farmed fish comes from Norway or from Iceland or from Scotland, it tends to be pretty good. You know, it's a good farmed fish. They have really huge spaces that they put aside for the fish. But if we're talking about like salmon, for example, salmon swims upstream, you know, in the wild, and then they lay their eggs on the land and like after they've swum up a river, and then they come back down, and then they go all the way into the ocean, and they're hanging out in the ocean. I mean, that is a tough, strong, powerful, very spiritual, very amazing, impressive, great fish, and it's very healthy too. But we've had destruction of our entire northern Pacific Ocean, destruction, damage, depends on what word you want to use, but due to the Fukushima problem back towards a little after 2011, I guess, maybe 2000, I can't remember when it was, but, huh?
Tsunami. When the tsunami hit there.
Yeah. So that caused a lot of problems when all the radiation came out of Fukushima, and then so that caused a lot of problems for the Pacific Ocean. So we don't want to get exposed to too much of what used to be a really healthy salmon that would swim up all those rivers. And then to the best of my knowledge, on the other side, whether you're in Alaska or whatever part of the world you're in, there's just not a lot of wild salmon that's naturally there in the Atlantic. So, you know, you mainly just have the farm salmon that comes from those oceans that are so safe. So, again, the farm fish is not terrible if it's a really high quality one from Scotland, Norway, or Iceland, but you know, it's just not as good as the happy fish that can swim in the ocean, do what they want. It's more of a natural environment for them. They can fight, they can get killed, they can live, they can have a bunch of kids. I mean, you know, that's the kind of fish that you want, one that's just living in a natural environment.
In farm fish, they're not going to be in as cold of water. Isn't that a big factor?
I would say it's relevant, yeah, because the chemical structure of the flesh of the fish will be slightly different, or even considerably different. Yeah.
They'll have less fat too, won't they?
Probably, yeah. I don't know for sure, but yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. So that's an issue. Yeah, that is an issue. Nothing that we need to like, you know, get ourselves worked up about and lose sleep over. But yeah, just in general, we want to get foods that are safe. So I'm going over foods that'll work with the Skolnikoff method that are safe. So you can get a variety of fish, but if you're getting like, for example, you know, farmed salmon from Northern California, that's going to be nasty, disgusting stuff. Or if it's from Southern California or whatever, or if it's from Milwaukee or Minnesota or whatever, because it's going to be a small little crappy farm where the fish are eating themselves, that they feed the fish, the dead fish that die, they just feed it back to the other fish. And they put all kinds of, the fish get confused, they're swimming with only one fin, they're sick, and then they kill them, and then they harvest them, and then they sell them to you. You don't want to get that. That's going to be dangerous, really dangerous. You don't want to get food from your local market that's organic and healthy, that's been sitting in a plastic container, like chicken that's hot in a warm plastic container. I mean, you never want to do that. If it's cold, it should be okay. If it's frozen, I don't know if it's great, but it should be somewhat safe. But if it's hot, warm, and plastic, don't do it. Okay, don't do it. No. Okay.
I go like shop where they put it in paper, right?
Yeah, it should be okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but the only thing about that is if you're going to store it for a while, you'd prefer that they put it in a plastic bag, or when you bring it home, you would want to put it in a plastic bag, so not a lot of oxygen gets into that food. Yeah, you want to keep the oxygen out so it doesn't spoil right away.
Okay.
I mean, unless you're going to eat it that day or the next day, you need to take care of the oxygen getting in.
Mm-hmm.
So we did Atlantic fish is 10, Pacific fish would be right around 5 to 6, so either one.
Okay.
And then the eggs would be minus 1,000, so that's an allergen.
I thought eggs were good for you.
Exactly, that's why we're going over this. Okay, thank you so much for that important comment. So eggs have...
These are minus 1,000.
Minus 1,000, yeah. So for eggs, we have the globulin is in the eggs, myoglobulin. So globulin is not, it's globulin. So it's the same protein that's found in our blood that carries the red blood through the red blood cells through our blood, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Yeah. So sometimes, I guess there's that thing because you're using the speakers. I guess there's a lag of sometimes.
With Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom's cool though. We love Zoom. Zoom. So what'll happen is your body can get confused and think that the eggs are a part of the component of your own blood, and that's how a lot of autoimmune conditions can develop. Your body starts attacking the egg, and then it can even attack your own blood, and that's what they call a type of autoimmune disease. It's not exactly the way I'm describing it, but I'm just trying to make a summary so that you get the basic idea of the problem that happens from eggs. The yolk of the egg, if you are going to eat eggs, which you should not, the yolk has lots of choline, but only if it's not cooked. So the choline and the nutrients found in the yolk of the egg are really healthy. The cholesterol is good, actually. So the cholesterol, the choline, and the B vitamins there are great, but it's too difficult to get that from the egg and then throw out the rest. That's just kind of like a lot of work. Might as well just...
Everybody that has an autoimmune reaction to the eggs, or is that just certain people's bodies? Like some people are more sensitive to gluten, or some people are more...
It's certain people's bodies. But
okay,
we're talking about you, right? So you have some trouble with mood. You're taking a number of medications for the mood, and some of them help with sleep. And so we know that those are autoimmune-like symptoms that you have. So, for you and many of the people watching, they're already having a lot of digestive difficulties. So we want to avoid eggs for that key reason. We're not like talking to the healthiest of the population where you go in, you get a hamburger, you stick an egg on it, you get more protein, and you go to the gym, you work out, you build a little extra muscle, you go to sleep that night, go to your job, you're making $150,000 a year selling stuff, whatever you do. That's not our person who's watching this, who's 26 years old or whatever. We have a different audience than that.
Mm-hmm.
So even so, the eggs are just not a good source of protein. They're really deficient in methionine. So methionine is really important for stabilizing blood sugar, and they just don't do it. I mean, I'm not saying chicken is great, but chicken helps people more than eggs. It's a lot healthier. The eggs are just sort of, they're not great. Yeah.
Protein in your second step is to get as many nutrients as possible with each meal, and you want 4 meals a day, correct?
Yeah, I don't think people need to worry about what our step is. Our steps are following the Skolnikoff method, which was what we're outlining for you. And we're making it really clear. It's exciting. It's easy to do. It's a thrill because all you have to do is just follow the sheet. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? We have the wheel already spinning and turning. We have the exact blueprint of what you need to be healthy. So we don't need to do anything other than follow the sheet. We don't want to make anything up. We don't want to try to do it differently. We don't want to try like this little bit of colonics because your friend did colonics and they lost weight and they felt a lot better and that worked great. I'm sure your friend did, and I don't think colonics are bad. Just follow what we're doing. What we're doing works great. There's no reason to try something else. Each meal, our goal is to be able to digest the food that we're eating and then absorb it and then utilize the nutrients in the food and make those nutrients available at the cellular level where things are going well, right? Then we'll feel better, we'll have more energy, we'll get sick less often. We will sleep much better, right? Without the need for a whole lot of medications or costly nutritional supplements that we're already talking about. I mean, we're not talking about the nutritional supplements. It's not a good use of time, but they're expensive. They cost a lot. They're a lot more than zero.
Yeah.
They're not a free, nothing's free, right? And so, especially most of the ones we're using, they're grown in Palmyra, Wisconsin. It's a really fertile organic soil. They have both animal and whole food, factors in them that have to be grown, and they're not really vitamin isolates that are found in most nutritional supplements that you'd find in a market like a vitamin market in your area. They're grown on a farm. They include the entire food, so there is no ascorbic acid extract by itself. It's the vitamin C complex, which includes tyrosinase and ascorbigen and all these other different food factors. So vitamin E is the vitamin E complex, so your body really recognizes it and it builds new healthy tissue. Not sure where all that came from, but I don't know what the point of me saying all that was. But we're not having to, we're not having to reinvent the wheel is my point. And if you could
process supplements for the viewer, standard process, right?
Yeah, we're mainly using the standard process and MediHerb line. Yeah, mainly.
They can only be gotten through a health professional like ourselves.
A licensed healthcare provider. Yeah. Yeah, they're prescription only. So, and I'm not saying there's not other good products on the market. It's just, we're getting really good results. It's not the nutrients. It's the diagnosis of exactly what nutrient you need, in what order, at what time, and at what dose to get the maximum result. It's not the line. It's not the standard process line or the MediHerb line. It's what standard process product you take. How much of it? What MediHerb product do you take? Do you take none? Do you take a whole bunch? It really matters. Okay. So that's why we're talking about it. Okay. So we did the eggs. We talked about eggs. Pork should be a negative 2,000.
Really?
Yeah. Pork is not a very clean animal. A lot of the pork, it eats their own fecal material, which it's not as bad as it sounds. It sounds really, really bad, but they're sort of in an unclean environment, and sometimes a lot of the animal itself is fermenting, and that's also not quite as bad as it sounds, but it's not a very healthy food. So there's exceptions. There's some people who can do okay with pork. Most people, they just get into trouble with pork and eggs. So I'm going over ways to stay out of trouble. This is about no trouble. This is about everything going well here, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So organic pork's the same basic thing. People get into trouble. It doesn't matter how great the pork is. It's just better not to get into trouble. And then there's exceptions. We're working with each person. I'm working with you individually. If you're one of those rare people who can tolerate some pork, then that's okay. If you're one of those rare people who can tolerate a few eggs, that's okay. But as a general rule, we're going over things a little, for Daniel right now. And then, are you open or closed to goat, frog legs, or escargot, which are hard to get anyway?
You can get goat around here pretty easily, but I like goat. I don't eat frog legs or escargot. What's escargot? Is that fish eggs?
Escargot is the snails. They're French.
Snails, that's right.
Yeah. So put a line through frog legs and escargot so we don't waste the time with that.
What's their rating?
That'd be 7 for frog legs, 7 with escargot. Yeah, and goats is 7 to 8, 7 or 8 for goat.
I probably actually will get some goat because that's pretty easy to get around here.
So anything over around 5 would be good. Because 4.5 or 5.
A lot of pork and a lot of eggs, so that makes sense.
Yeah, try to get up to as high of a number on the scale as possible. So anything over 7 or 8 would be really good. So the Atlantic fish is your number one best go-to food. And if you're in the middle of the country, which I guess you are,
Yes.
you're
back now. Almost. Middle north.
Middle North? Yeah, it's pretty much, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but it's probably almost as easy for you to get Atlantic fish as it is Pacific fish. So definitely go for the Atlantic. Don't want to get fish from the Pacific because it's...
Will it say on the packaging?
You just have to be really careful. Yeah, not really. Maybe. Maine, Maine is going to probably be East Coast, right? So, or Boston or whatever.
So that's going to be Atlantic?
Yeah, Massachusetts, Maine, whatever. Just something where it's, the Indian Ocean is okay. The Mediterranean is good. They have good Bronzino from there. Some of it's farmed. It seems to be fine. Also, watch out for shrimp from the Gulf of Mexico because anything coming from the Gulf of Mexico is suspicious because we had that big, I guess it was Mobil oil, spilled a whole bunch of stuff there years ago, and then they put this dispersant there, and you don't want to play any games with the Gulf of Mexico. So be careful that your, shrimp is a really good quality shrimp, preferably wild from, the east coast if you're in the United States, or if you're in another part of the world, it can be flown in from anywhere. Just don't get it from those countries that are in the Pacific, like the South Pacific, Japan, Vietnam, Korea. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's too risky. But India is good. If you
could be radiation proteins. Radiation.
Well, you're suspecting it. Yeah, you don't know really. So it's too much. And it's not just radiation. I mean, sometimes like if it's coming from Vietnam, you just kind of wonder like, so it's coming from Vietnam. You just kind of think about it a little bit. Like, what happens in Vietnam? Nobody has any money. People sometimes sell peas and things that they paint green because they're not green, and then they send them to other countries. Like, you just don't know what's happening. It's too weird. So, if you can get a lot of more information about the food you're buying, it's better. You don't want to be left in the dark about everything. So. I'm not saying you can't find good food in Vietnam, but you got to just be careful. That's all. All right.
All the food in my house so far.
You what?
I've thrown away a lot of food that is not good for me.
Good job.
Process, yes.
High five, Daniel. Good job. High five. Yes. Yeah, well, we can go over the complex carbs a little bit more in the microbiome. So there's a whole lot of research showing that people can benefit from eating a really varied diet with lots of different kinds of foods, which is not really something I'm going over here. So the reason why we're not going over it is because we're giving you a specific diet that's specific to you, the listener. And it's not a varied diet. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you, because we don't want a varied diet for you. We want the one that's specific, that's going to get you healthy right as soon as possible. So if you start adding a little bit of potatoes and rice and pasta, you're going to run into like big doggy doo-doo. So we don't want that. We want you to get healthy right away. We're getting rid of some infections with many of you. Like Daniel's an example. He has some infections we're getting rid of. He's using, Daniel's a good man, as you can see. He's using a little bit of golden seal to help with a bit of a bacterial infection. Hopefully things are going okay with that. How are your sinuses? Is it a little bit better or not?
They're better as long as I don't eat any of the stuff that you told me not to eat.
I can do this. Watch. Hopefully everyone can see this. I just stand here.
Yep. You're on the Golden Gate Bridge. Remember that. Don't jump.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Glad I can help.
Yes.
So
yes.
But yeah, so you don't want to be doing the
But it's not easy. I'm going to say it's not easy to just do the easy thing. Because I believe some of it's because of the bad bacteria that makes you crave some of the other things that are bad for you. And habits.
If you go to triadofhealth.net, remember there's the form that's called Path to Health chart, right? So that Path to Health chart is basically going over how quickly we start feeling better. very important chart. You go to learning,
Oh, that's
and then
the one
go
with the
ahead.
arrow.
Yeah. You go to you go to learning and then what to expect, and then you see that path to health chart there. Oh, it's on my screen. I don't know if they can see my screen.
I can't see it. There, I can see it on your screen now.
Oh, really? Okay. Can they? Can the viewer see it?
Yeah, the viewers can see it now.
Yeah, so going from the symptoms over here, the red circle, to I'll make it as big as we can, to the green circle. We'll do that at whatever pace the person who's watching this, like Daniel or myself, are ready to do it at. So we want to correct and strengthen the underlying causes of your symptoms. So in Daniel's case, there was trauma from when he was a kid. That's going to mean we have to talk about that a little bit at some point, not while we're doing a podcast. And then there's, some trouble with digestion, a few infections, and all this kind of stuff. So, he's having some trouble with his sinuses, his mood, his sleep, et cetera, et cetera. His energy's been low, et cetera, et cetera. So we want to get to the symptoms first and foremost. It's important to him. It's important to me. It's important. So we do that. He feels better. His sinuses feel better. He sleeps better. He needs fewer medications. That's great. Then we want to continue to correct and strengthen the underlying causes of the problem, the trouble with digestion, the emotional causes, the chemical causes, the structural causes, and then we want to help with neurologic, hormone, and brain support to the point where at a certain point soon, he doesn't even need any medications, and everybody goes at their own pace. We're not trying to rush people. This is not a dictatorship. It's an open healing process. Okay, it's a lot more like a democracy, you could call it. So we want to go from the symptoms, or we will go from the symptoms to feeling good as fast as we can, right? But we also want to go as slowly as we need to for you to get the long-lasting and permanent results that you're looking for. So it's okay that Daniel's struggling a little bit with making some dietary changes. We don't want we just want to support him, right? I'm just going to support him along each step of the way. We're not going to say, oh my God, what were you thinking? Oh my goodness, you should be ashamed of having that, whatever, pizza, cupcake, whatever it might have been, pasta.
I know that I feel like you're watching me. From
When you eat?
If I eat something bad. Oh my God. I'm going to have to report this on the podcast. I ate a pizza one day after I was feeling good, and I felt just horrible for about a day and a half after that. I was like, oh my God, this must be working, because when I eat things he says, it works.
Yeah, so the microbiome is incredible. We've now completed the Human Genome Project, and the theory was, and it really was a theory, at the beginning of the project, the scientists thought they could map out each and every part of the human genome so that they could identify each gene and what it did, and then do terrible things that they shouldn't be doing, like genetically modifying things, but they wanted to get rid of diseases. So it wasn't like a bad intention. It just, humans don't really, this is not the way life works. Life is done by God. It's not done by humans. Okay. But anyway, not every human realizes that. They think they can improve upon what God was doing, but you can't. Okay. So anyway, they were trying, and then they realized, well, wait a second. When we map out all the genes, it's not the way we thought. We're missing maybe 40 or 50 or even 60% of the genetic material that we thought we would find. We're almost the same as an earthworm genetically, just a little bit different. I mean, not that much. So they thought, well, wait a second, humans and earthworms, they seem really different. I mean, it's really different, right? I mean, earthworms aren't even primates. Then what they started was to investigate the bacteria in the gut. We figured out, we've known for a while that there's about literally 10 times more bacteria and viruses in the gut than there are cells in the entire body. Okay. And then, so the microbiome is the bacteria. There's about 40 trillion bacteria, and the biome, VIOME, is part of the microbiome. Those are the viruses in the gut, and there's about 60 trillion different viruses. So this is like a major part of our immune system. Like this is the immune system, essentially. This is the most important part of it, at least. And so the point is that the gut ecology is very important. The environment of the gut, the pH of the gut, the bacteria in the gut, the viruses in the gut, the mold, yeast, fungus, and candida in the gut, the parasites in the gut, the microbes in the gut, maybe there's, we also have some pathogens in the gut, but hopefully not too many. So these things are all really important. And what they found out is that when they did the new project, the human microbiome project, they discovered that it's the genetic material of the microbiome that determines our genes and the expression of our genes, and that the microbiome can change by when we change our thoughts, or when we change our diet, or when we change our environment, or when we change our air, or when we change our temperature, or when we change our experiences. And so those are all things that we can control. We're not victims of our genes. We've all been lied to and misled, more so about health and healthcare than any other academic subject. I mean, definitely more than computer science. Computer science is like light years ahead. Healthcare is light years behind. I'd barely call it a science, considering how backwards it is. So this is how, we can help people to heal. Daniel was asking, so what are we trying to do with digestion? We want to understand what is healthy digestion and what causes it. What causes healthy digestion is a healthy, happy person who's eating something. They may not be eating the perfect thing. They may eat the wrong food. But if they're really happy and excited and easygoing and having a good time when they're eating the wrong food, things go pretty well. I'm suggesting you guys eat the right foods, because that way we can cheat this test. We can cheat on the test. We're going to get a really good score, right? So for a while we cheat, and after a while these lifestyle changes, they become daily habits. We no longer have to think about what's the healthy food to eat. We've established good, healthy activities of daily living, good, healthy lifestyle that allows us to no longer have the symptoms. We just feel good all the time. We're at the green circle now, okay? And then we don't necessarily need to get the consultations as often, So, and the most important point is the one I started with, though, okay, is that we can go at whatever pace you want to go at. We can go as fast as you'd like or as slowly as you'd like, but we want to get the long-term, long-lasting results that you're looking for. And so, whether you started with the silver, gold, or platinum, the, investment that's, a little bit smaller, medium, or major investment, either way, the major investment that's what the one I'm suggesting is the best. It may be not possible for all of you watching, but if you come directly to our office, we're going to be helping you. And if things don't work out the way we wanted them to with the silver or the gold, it's okay. With the silver level or the gold level, I'll offer you some care directly in our office without an additional investment in yourself. Other than, you might need to pick up a few nutrients here and there and pay a little bit for those. Our homeopathy might cost, a little bit, $10 or $15 or something per remedy. You might need 2 or 3 of those remedies, but that's it. So I think that's, that's not going to be too bad. So it'll be amazing is what I meant by that. Okay, what do you think, Daniel? So we talked a little bit about complex carbs, but the point is that the human microbiome does respond well to a varied diet. The research does show that. A varied diet is a little bit different than what the diet I'm prescribing is. But if you can just get really healthy fish and green leafy vegetables, like some good okra, some good arugula, some good asparagus, some good beef, some good lamb, maybe a little bit of, buffalo, which is also rated at a 9. It's like beef or elk or whatever, and obviously the fish is really important. You're going to do really well, We're going to help you. You're going to be feeling great. Everything's going to go well. And we just need to get that gut ecology really healthy, so that, you don't have the symptoms and they don't come back. I had this one fellow, he was having headaches. His name is Mark Anthony Stevens. He was having headaches for 37 years. Every month he'd have headaches that were so bad he would have to throw up and lose a few days of work and everything because his headaches were so bad. I mean, 37 years. I treated him one single time using the Skolnikoff method. He needed one single nutrient at the end of that visit. And it's been 2.5 months now. His headaches are completely gone. He hasn't had them since that one single treatment visit in the office. And his story's on our website. It's the top story at the very top. So
at Triad.com?
TriadofHealth.net. So it's triadofhealth.net. But if you go to triadofhealth.com, you will be forwarded to triadofhealth.net. So yeah, that's fine. Triadofhealth.com, triadofhealth.net, either one. Yeah.
I have a question. What is the average time it takes for somebody to get through your program?
Well, the average time it takes is I mean this is a 12-week program. So yeah.
Oh, it's 12 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
And then people can vary their diet if they want or not.
No, everybody's a little bit different in terms of their diet. We work directly with each person. It's custom tailored to each individual person. So good question. So see that on the top there? It says custom tailored and personalized program. Because everyone is different, everyone needs a different program. The program you are being given goes through these 3 phases charted out below. So the first phase is symptom relief, then there's the I feel good phase, and finally there's the supportive care. Yeah, people generally start to be able to vary their diets right after, that period of time. Yeah, just like you said, after about 12 weeks, they kind of vary it. It depends on the person. Everybody's so different. This is custom tailored, right? So it's not the same for everyone. It's not a cookie cutter approach. It's custom tailored just for each individual person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, each person gets to eat things that are slightly different, but yeah.
And do they find that out, like, once you take everything away, do you add things back slowly, or?
No. We're just doing everything every time we do the consultation, which happens about once a month. Depends on whether it's silver, gold, or it's actually diamond, not platinum. My bad. So silver, gold, or diamond. Yeah, depending on which one it is, that's how often we do the consultation. But yeah, if they're having trouble in between, then they fill out the symptom survey form and send it over, and then we'll process that and get back to them. I actually have somebody who's waiting for me to do that right now as we speak. But
I see. So you have them redo that throughout the process.
Yeah, the symptom survey form is right. It's going to be in front of us in about 20 seconds here.
Okay.
Platinum, you do like this.
Imagine with the silver, you do it every 2 weeks, and for gold, you do it every 2 weeks, and silver, you do it once a month. Is that how it works?
Well, silver, you do it once a month. Gold, you do it every few weeks, either 2 or 3 weeks, and then with platinum, yeah, you do it a little bit more often than every 2 weeks. It just depends on the person. It's not quite so set in stone as one might think, since it's custom tailored. Yeah.
Okay, great.
But yeah, with the diamond, you get a little bit more attention. So if you're having a little more, if you're struggling a little bit, and it's only been a week and a half, we can still process this, pretty quickly within a day or a couple days, and then see what we need to do to help.
Okay, great. Well, maybe I should fill that out again. Maybe that would be a good idea.
Start with the history of dietary intake form, where you're writing down what you're eating from day to day. That's this one. Daily record of food intake. See this?
Yep.
Yeah, it's from that company Standard Process. They put together this form. So you just write what you're eating and drinking from day to day, and then we need no less than 4 or 5 days worth. And then if you send that over to me, then we'll take a look at it and just kind of we'll help you with that.
Okay. All right. I'll start filling that out. My problem is a lot of times I don't eat enough times. or enough times per day, because I was used to eating once a day.
I think we need to get you on the Diamond program.
Yes, you think so? Possibly.
Yeah. Also, we haven't had any therapeutic consultations at all. So if you were, go ahead.
We've been doing everything online and over the phone.
Well, we didn't do any phone conversations lasting more than like 12 minutes or something.
No. We didn't.
So what we would do, what we do for all of our people who are there getting the homeopathy, the gold or maybe diamond, maybe not diamond, but for the gold, they have the homeopathic kit in front of them, and then on a regular basis, we go through that at least once a month, and then we figure out what homeopathic remedies they need, and that dramatically impacts their health and helps them to, get on track. But you're go ahead.
I'd like to get a homeopathic kit. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd be happy to send that over to you. You'll tell me whenever you just told me that, so we can do that right away. And the other thing is, our listeners and yourself too, Daniel, you'd want to have 5 protein meals per day, not the size of my palm and fingers, but put your hand up.
I can't.
Yeah. So your entire palm and fingers. Can they see your palm and fingers, or just your fingers?
Well, you have to unshare your dietary form.
Oh, my bad.
I can't actually see myself.
What am I doing wrong here?
Just go back to you. So unshare. Unshare screen.
Oh, unshare the screen. Okay. My bad. Hold on a second. Stop share. What do you think?
Yeah, now I can see me again. Oh,
yeah, so let's so your whole hand. There you go. So your whole hand, palm, and fingers. The entire hand. We want to have that much of those proteins 5 separate times per day for Daniel.
5 times. That's
yeah. Really. So, we're thinking about when you wake up, and then, there's going to be a whole bunch more times, right? So when you wake, 5.
Why can't you just eat one huge meal of protein?
Because the blood sugar won't be stable throughout the day if you have one huge meal, because that's what we're helping you with, is stabilizing your blood sugar. Stabilizing your blood sugar will help with your mood. It'll help with your energy. It'll help with your organs and glands, especially your pancreas, pituitary, hypothalamus. Your thyroid and your adrenal glands, and which is nice. But anyway, stabilizing your blood sugar helps with your muscles and your joints and your ligaments, and it helps with your sleep. And that's one of the 4 main things we're doing, is stabilizing your blood sugar.
What do you think? Diet, wouldn't that be like kind of a cheat? So you could just have ketones instead of your blood, your fuel as ketones instead of running off blood sugar. Then you have to eat once a day. Then you can do more.
No, that's not a good idea. That's a bad idea. That's what's going to cause problems for you. So that's not a good idea. That's not a stable blood sugar. So the ketones, we are talking about helping you with ketoacidosis. So you will have large amounts of fat, and you may even release a little bit of protein or fat in your urine, which sometimes they call that a kidney infection. But you shouldn't be releasing too much of that stuff in your urine. But anyway, no, this is not a 1 meal per day starvation diet that you're thinking of. That kind of diet would be dangerous for the type of patient that I'm helping. It's not necessarily. I've heard about the benefits and whatnot, and I'm familiar with that, and that's a whole other subject. The other thing that I've noticed, some of the people who promote that type of diet, what they do is they're actually eating something anyway. So they'll have some kind of a meal in the morning. It's just not their main meal. It's like a little snack that they have, or they have like some amino acids or something. So they're not really always following the eat nothing and then eat a big lunch and then you're good or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's so many different variations. I mean, if the person's healthy and they have really strong adrenal glands and their blood sugar is really stable, these are not my patients, okay? And they can have like a meal once a day, or they can do their athletic stuff, their sports, and then they do their sports, they eat their meal, they go to sleep, they wake up, they do their sports, they eat their meal, they go to sleep, they wake up, they can just take off a day or two every now and then to heal. That's not my patients, okay? Those are athletes and competitive, those are different those are like a healthier person than my average patient. Mm-hmm. So their system can handle that. We're not doing anything like that though.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do before the Skolnikoff method.
Okay, yeah, that was a bad idea. Okay.
Seems logical.
Huh?
It seemed logical.
No, I
did feel better.
Yeah, there's people who can lose weight doing that, and there are some benefits. And in India, they say, your body's going to clean itself out, and it's easier on your organs and glands because it takes a lot of energy to digest your food, and this and that, and that and this. It's not that all that's wrong. I'm not saying it's like lies or anything like that. It's just not what we're doing here. We're doing something different than that. Mm-hmm. So it's not that doesn't work for some people under certain conditions. That's real. What that would be really a good diet for would be an actor, right? Or a bodybuilder, or somebody who's trying to sculpt, they're sculpting muscles, mm-hmm. or they're entering into a bodybuilding contest. They need to show their physique and show off certain muscles. It doesn't mean it's that healthy anyway. I don't really promote an actor doing it, but actors do need to have a certain kind of body type, and when they do that, they can alter their body dramatically. And if they have a coach, and if they're getting all kinds of, they can do different things with lab work and things to monitor themselves to make sure they're not going to do anything too dangerous. But this is not my patients that I'm helping, so mm-hmm. Okay. We're not doing anything like that. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I won't do that.
Okay. It's an interesting idea. It's not really so good of an idea in practice unless you're those rare actors or bodybuilders or a special kind of athlete or something.
Okay.
Or high fashion models, the same thing, right? Somebody who's doing modeling. The models aren't that healthy in general, whether they're the male or female models. So, you don't want to aspire to be an unhealthy model. Just stick with what we're doing. It works really well. Some of those models, it's really sad what they're doing to their bodies,
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so we covered protein and a lot more.
Yeah. I think we did good.
Yeah, we did great. So
next
time we're going to do blood sugar on our next episode, Skolnikoff episode.
Nice!
3. Yes, blood sugar, and what was the fourth was digestion?
Water, protein, blood sugar, and digestion. Yeah.
Digestion.
And one more. Sorry, I hope you don't mind me saying this. Just a little tidbit. We are wanting to avoid all the complex carbs that have the high glycemic index, just because the sugar is what stresses our organs and glands and causes the modern diseases. So there's a real reason for it. But it doesn't mean I'm putting down complex carbs for everything. They're not bad in all situations. They're just bad for you, the viewer, who's using the Skolnikoff method to get healthy. You don't want to do that. It doesn't mean that all humans shouldn't do that, but you shouldn't be doing that, is what we're talking about.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Skolnikoff.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Second episode here, and we will talk to you soon in about 3-4 weeks again.
The highest good is to find the cause.
The highest good is to find the cause.
Okay.
Okay.
Talk to you in 3 or 4 weeks. Okay. Thanks, Daniel.